right, welcome back, everybody. I'd like to call up, there we go. I'd like to call up Rita Smith to give us our guests.
Good afternoon, everyone. Guests, when I call your name, please stand so we can give you a warm Kiwanis welcome. Our first guest is David Marshall, guest of Jay Ellis.
Hey, Dave.
John Cushman, guest of Aaron Ceballos.
Hey, John.
Billy D., guest of Lamone.
Hey.
Kent Lane, guest of Aaron Ceballos. And last but not least, Josh Kelly, guest of Jay Ellis. Thank you all for attending today and welcome.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for all of you for coming today. We'd all love to have you part of our club, so thank you so much for coming. Do you have any updates from community service? Christy.
Thank you all so much for being here today. We have an update for September. We are going to be helping with the Manatee Performing Arts Center with two of their plays. They've selected two events that they don't have enough volunteers for. It's September 25th and 26th, just with front of house help, but you can also likely watch the play. So a great way to see the play, great way to support this facility right here. And then keep in mind, if you have an event coming up, if you're a board, you're a nonprofit person, please let us know if we can support in any way. Reach out to me or Jay or Mike, and we would love to be a part of your organization. Thank you so much.
We also have an Interclub coming up next week. Barbara, do you want to come up and tell us about the Interclub?
I'll just announce it from here. Interclub is next Tuesday night, that's September 3rd. It's actually going to be supporting the New Manatee River Club, which is held here. So that will be Tuesday night, September 3rd at 6 o'clock. And Sharon has lined up a speaker for the club, Kimberly Peralta. She's the director of Foster the Family. So that's kind of helping to support the foster programs that I know the governor's project is involved in as well. So we hope that you'll join us next Tuesday night, 6 o'clock here.
Awesome. Thanks so much. I have a great update. For most of you know, most of the year, we've been working on hiring a new position as our Kiwanis administrator. So over the past couple of weeks, we've gone through several candidates. We had interviewed candidates. The interview board was myself, John Vita, and Don Stanhope. We interviewed the candidates, and then we had them go through their financial acumen with Mac Caraway, who is currently running the finances for the foundation. After meeting all the candidates, having our discussions, Don, John, and I came to the unanimous decision that we're going to be hiring Jess Cruz as our Kiwanis administrator. Jess is, her qualifications and her involvement in the community speak volumes for what we're planning to do. Her start date will be October 1st, so she'll be formally introduced to the board at the next board meeting in that role, then hit the ground running October 1st. So if you see Jess, congratulate her on a new position. We're really, really excited to carry this on, as I feel like this will provide that institutional knowledge in the position that will make sure that this club can continue on to do the great work it's been doing for years, and we're really, really excited about that role. So I want to give you all the update around that. So to start with our speaker today, I'd like to bring up Chad Cho to introduce our speakers.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate it. It's funny that Pastor Marshall talked about love when it's Manatee and Southeast Day. Don't know how much love there's going to be. No, just kidding. So we have the athletic directors of Manatee High School and Southeast High School, Matt Bowling, Matt Kitchie with us. We asked the coaches to come in, Coach Bradley, Coach Green. Scheduling conflicts, couldn't make it. But I love that the athletic directors are here. We'll hear more about the athletic program as a whole, just not football. And just a little bit of background. There's some crazy connection between them name-wise, but we'll leave that for another day. But first to bring Matt Bowling. Both of our alumni. Matt Bowling's alumni of Palmetto High School. Matt Kitchie is alumni of where he is at now as athletic director with Southeast High School. Both are former coaches. Kids are go to Manatee schools. Matt Kitchie was a football coach at St. Stephen's as a head coach, at Leonard High School in Hillsboro. Now, obviously, the athletic director. Matt Bowling was a baseball coach at Bradenton High School and came over 3 or 4 years ago now and does a great job for the athletic program at Manatee High School. But both alumni, they're born and bred here in Manatee County and really excited to reinvigorate the Manatee and Southeast rivalry, and not only football, but everything, right? Although I'm a Gator too, so the red, white, and blue, I bleed orange and blue, so it's kind of hard to pick the colors. But so hopefully you all pepper the heck out of them with questions once they're done giving their talks, because I'd love to see them squirm a little bit. So with further ado, Matt, come on up, fellas.
Hey, Chad, we're going to flip a coin to see who goes first. Ed Cleveland, let's see.
No, but who's going to choose?
Let's see. Manatee High School chooses heads or tails.
We'll go heads.
Good, because tails never tails.
Go ahead, Ed.
Falls on the floor and just pretend it's going in the sun. Okay?
Nice catch.
Tails.
We know he wasn't a receiver.
I may have a lot of nervous energy. I move around a lot. I don't know if I won that coin flip or not. But that being said, I am extremely honored to be here to represent Southeast High School, Manatee County Schools, my principal, Ginger Collins, and the history that is this rivalry. For me, it goes back to the early 90s, and Paul Meckley on the southeast side, Joe Canan on the bad side. I'm going to be real honest with you. I went away. I went and coached up in Hillsborough County, and I could not wait to get back to Manatee County because there's just something different about the things that go on in Bradenton, and I use horrible English when I say Bradenton's just better. The greatest thing that I have about being back at Southeast High School is I go to watch practices, games, whatever, and I'm seeing kids of people I grew up with, their grandchildren, there's connections. And isn't that what makes rivalries great? I'll be the first to tell you, he and I probably talk every day. If we don't talk, I think my wife calls him my boo thing or something. Just because our jobs are so similarly aligned that we have to communicate and do things. But then there's things like this week where we play a rivalry game that really does matter to people. In the 1990s, Southeast Manatee, and I will always say Southeast Manatee, was considered by Sports Illustrated one of the greatest rivalries in high school football. And there have been great people that have played the game all the way back to the 70s. So this isn't something that's just, we're building a new neighborhood out east, let's have a rivalry. This is something that's entrenched in our community. And I think when you look back on your life, some of the greatest things that happened in high school, and the people that are in the band, the ROTC, just the regular students, the teachers, they all have a little bit of pride about what happened in that rivalry game. And maybe you won, maybe you lost, that really gets lost. It's the stories that we can tell and share. And I'm lucky enough to have 2 children. Honestly, one went to Manatee and one went to Southeast. But it's still those connections that we all have, and I think that's what makes Bradenton great. As a native of Bradenton, it's my wife is from Philadelphia, and she goes, "How do you know everybody?" And it's because it's a small town, and things like this matter. And maybe it's not as important as the Bucks versus the Falcons, but it's important to us in our community. And I think there's a little bit of pride. The nice thing about it, though, is when that game ends at 10:30, we're still going to love each other, and we're going to move on, and we're going to support each other. And that's what makes high school sports great. It's the ability to impact young people, give them life experience, and more important, make them proud of where they're at. So I'm going to turn it over to this other guy.
Well, I just want to echo what Coach said. I don't move around a whole lot. I was worried you're going to knock that bell over, man. That table was wobbling. But first off, thank you for having both of us. Just an honor to come here and be able to speak with Kiwanis and speak with just some big community members who really do a lot for our high schools here in the area. But Coach is right. Even though I'm not a graduate of Manatee, when I took the job at Manatee, there was a lot of do I really want to do this? Does this really want to be my first AD maiden voyage Manatee High School? Like, I got the mayor on the boosters there. I got a school board member on the boosters there. Like, do I really want to go this route? And I can tell you within probably a week of stepping on that campus, that place has a way of grabbing you, making you fall in love with it real quick. And the histories that just roam through that hallway, and it's just a really genuine place to be. And the community, and I'm going to echo something that the mayor said and always stuck with me. Manatee is not an expectation, it's a standard. He said that in probably my second booster meeting with him, and I never forgot it. And it's a standard. We have a standard to uphold, and Friday night, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring back the standard of the rivalry between Manatee and Southeast. I got a little bone to pick with Southeast. I was in 8th grade. I was a ball boy for Palmetto. And my dad happened to be the head coach at the time at Palmetto. And Southeast is up, what was it, man? About probably 63-0 in the fourth quarter. And I think somebody threw a touchdown pass to make it 70-0. But we're not going to mention any names, Matt Kitchie. So it does go back. And coaching at Braden River, we always played a rivalry series with Lakewood Ranch in baseball. And we did a 3-game series, and we did it all in 1 week. And our kids would get so amped up about it and so excited about it. And in the back of my mind, all I could think of was, this does not even come close to what Manatee and Southeast would experience. Seeing pictures of Hawkins Stadium forget a place to sit. There wasn't a place to stand. And that's really what we're striving to kind of bring back. And high school athletics has such a large place in our young people's lives. And it really sets a tone. They have to learn how to deal with some adversity. They have to learn how to work hard. They have to learn to work as a unit, not as an individual. They're valuable, valuable lessons that high school athletics teach. And I think that is why we, as athletic directors, work so hard to make sure that our programs are top-notch all the time. Is it easy? No. Are there struggles that we face? Absolutely. Every single day there's struggles we face, whether it be financially or kid doing something and you got to make a hard call, whatever. But to be able to kind of hit the pause button and really look back on what you're doing for young people by providing them the opportunity to high school athletics, in the end of the day, that's what it's about. I know I wouldn't be where I am today without high school athletics, and without the coaches that I was fortunate enough to have. There's a gentleman who walked in who I haven't seen in probably 15 to 20 years. He coached me in Little League Baseball, John Tucker. JB, his son, and I grew up together. Gentlemen like him, that just a Little League Baseball coach has an impact on you. And that's what we strive to provide for our young people. But enough about high school athletics. Let's talk about Friday night. So we're playing at 7:30 at Hawkins Stadium. Gates will open at 6:30. And it would be awesome to see that place packed out on Friday night. It would be awesome to see the community for one night just, you know what? we're not going to stay home. You know what? We're not going to go out to eat. We're going to go buy a ticket. We're going to watch these young people play and watch what these coaches who just give up hours upon hours. I know my wife used to tell me all the time, like, I love football season because it was only one night a week. Baseball season, I didn't see you for weeks because you were playing 3-4 nights a week. So, but I challenge you. Get out on Friday night. Come to Hawkins Stadium. Come see what these young people have been working on and what they're doing. And for them to be on that athletic field, it's also a testament to what they're doing in the classroom. They can't have certain GPAs in play. So they have to take care of business in the classroom, and then they show up. Our coaching staffs have done a great job. Coach Green at Manatee has done an awesome job of preparing our kids. He really is just in tune to what goes on in our community with our boys as well. But if you're not doing anything on Friday night, I got a place for you. It's called Hawkins Stadium. It's right there on 9th Avenue. If you don't know where Manatee High School is, it's that big, huge building right there next to 9th. Feel free to stop on by. We got some fun lights that do some fun things over there, and got a great turf facility. And just come on by. It's going to be a great atmosphere and a great time.
I'll get the mic here, guys, for some questions.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Coach Kitchie, I might have to let you answer this one.
I don't know. Can you hear me? Is it going? Oh, okay. All right. So first off, I'd like to thank both of you for what you've done from when you were young to go into the teaching field and really to start teaching kids, because without that, the kids are our future, and what you've done to stay into it and really do it, has been an honor and a testament to your will and character. So thank you for that, and that's very important. One of the things that I remember, this is my 36th year doing broadcast, so if you don't go to the game, find it on YouTube or on the Manatee football site, and you can listen and watch. We want you to come out and spend the money for the tickets, but you can still watch and support our advertisers. One of the reasons that I've been involved so long is because of it changes kids' lives. And we know a lot of the kids in this room and our family members, we probably would have been okay, and our kids would have been okay, but there's a lot of kids out there that wouldn't, and without sports, whether it's from, cheerleading, ROTC, like you said, softball, baseball, any of the sports, this changes kids' lives. So I appreciate you guys, what you've done and are doing now to really make a difference in kids' lives. And you look back in the 90s when the rivalry was really going, you think about we were in two wars at that time, at the beginning and the end of the 90s, and we had people over watching and listening to those games that helped them while they were in wars, people that had gone. So this goes beyond the rivalry. This goes, like you say, community. So thank you for that, and we really appreciate what you're doing now to make our programs better. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So I noticed, Mr. Bowling, when you were talking about the supporters of Manatee High School, that you didn't mention me or my husband. First girl to be a cheerleader all 4 years. It's okay. We'll talk. My question is this. What's the most important lesson you ever learned from your mother?
So, interesting fact about my mom, she actually started the Seminole Cafe at Southeast High School when she was a teacher there. But I would think the most important thing I've probably learned from my mom, who is probably the most compassionate person I've ever met in my life, is just to be kind. As a coach, sometimes you lose sight of that. And, I always tell people I've been very fortunate to have 3 kids of my own. And when I had kids, it made me a better coach because I learned what it's like to be that parent, to have a kid come home to you and be like, man, like, Dad, I don't know what I did, but coach is all over me. I can't figure out why. As a coach, we still have a job to make sure our young people are doing things right. But at the same time, she taught me compassion. She taught me kindness, and just that not everything's black and white. And that's another thing you have to learn as a coach sometimes is there are some areas that you got to kind of step back and look at some gray a little bit. But to answer your question, compassion.
He keeps stealing all the good answers. It's kind of what Manatee does. They steal the good. Anyway. Wow. On a serious note, I think the greatest thing that my mother taught me is you got to give love to get love. And then for me, it was reconfirmed when I went to Southeast High School and played for Paul Meckley. I went all around the world to play football. I was so lucky. And everywhere I went, people knew who Paul Meckley was. And they never talked about what kind of coach he was. They talked about what a great man he was. And I tried to model myself. I've probably fallen short massively, but tried to model myself after Paul Meckley. And I think he and my mother had the same effect of that you got to love people and get to receive love. So that was the thing. I'd also like to follow up with the mayor, Gene Brown. You talked about the effect that we have on as coaches, as educators. I think the thing about coaches that people don't get is I was a head coach for 20 years. 20 years of teams. I remember the one kid that I failed and he didn't graduate. I remember that. But I can tell you this. I get messages constantly for the kids that played for me. I don't know how many science teachers get those relationships because we get a relationship that's a little different. We ride on buses. We sit in the weight room all summer long. And the effect that our coaches, and I think right now Southeast and Manatee have great coaches that are great for our communities. We were very lucky to get Kurt Bradley and get him to leave Braden River to come to Southeast. And I don't care what the score is for another game. The man has changed our young men, and that's the most important thing.
Hi. I am concerned about what I'm seeing happen at the college level with all the nil. Are you starting to see that seep into the high school level?
Well, Matt and I serve the district in a kind of a co-county athletic director, and we've split up things, and I'm actually over the NIL. We are treating the NIL a little bit like recruiting. We want to keep it away from our coaches. We want to keep it away from our teachers and our people that have representation in the schools. We feel that if we do that, that keeps our employees safe, but then it also does the best for our children. Did I answer that, Byron?
I think you did. Did he answer your question? What is NIL? NIL is name, image, and likeness. It's where students can now profit off of their name, where they can make money. You're seeing it in the college level, and I believe we are the what? I think 26th state that has adopted it in the high school level. So it is there, but I think we're a few years away from really seeing it be a big thing in high school sports. I think right now we're just on the cusp. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
What's the score going to be after the game? End of the game, who wins?
Ooh.
You're the visitors. You get to go first.
That's a hard question to answer. As a coach, I never wanted to say anything and to put up bulletin board material. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'll be very honest. Southeast High School is not where we want it to be yet. We are in a process of rebuilding and trying to do the things that have been done before, but do them in a more modern way and make sure that we keep our kids on the path of success. And I don't want to predict a score, but I'm going to say this. Playing this rivalry is better for Southeast High School. It makes our kids better. Going in that environment and playing in front of those fans will benefit us down the line. And it may not be in football. It may be in life when they have to stand in front of people like this and talk.
Come on, man. Tell me you're going to catch some butt, okay?
Well, Your Honor, I know when you ask a question in your courtroom, you want a direct answer. So 49-7 Canes. 49-7 Hurricanes.
Come on, Matt, now you can't let him say that.
So the hard part about this is, for me, it's a personal thing. I love everything about Southeast High School and what we are. I am a proud Seminole. So, like last year, being on the sideline was probably the most gut-wrenching I've ever been, and it wasn't competitive. I'm just going to say every other game I've been involved with, I've never lost to Manatee.
That was good.
Over here, first of all, I personally want to thank both of you and the people in this room because the transition has been made. It's such a great thing. And the pastor talked about love. It was there. It's been there. I had the awesome privilege of being able to play with a guy from Southeast High School at the University of Miami. His name was Van O'Quinn. And Van and I played together at the University of Miami. And then I had another one from Manatee. His name was Barry Fredrickson. Barry was a defensive back. And those guys, it was from Manatee County. And of course, Ralph Constantino went to Florida State, and I went to the University of Miami. So I have a smorgasbord of competing against, directly and indirectly, with people. But more importantly, is what this community has done. We have so much to be proud of. You know, I went back a little ways when you were talking, and you was talking about the 90s. Well, I went back to the 60s. I had to catch myself, and I had to bring myself back. And I just want to say, one of the things that concerns me very, very much is the transition and the competitiveness as it relates to athletics. And you have a big job, and you touched on it briefly. But now, kids want recruiters to give them money to come to talk to them at their homes about the possibility and the potential of being an athlete at their institution. How do you handle that?
You want to go first?
Thanks. That's a great question. You know, it is very tough when money is put in front of kids, or when we put an object on, hey, you're good enough, what's it going to take for you to come play for me? And I think how you handle it is you really instill in your kids, it's an honor to just be in the conversation. It is just to have a college talking about you is an honor, regardless of what level. I was lucky enough to go play Division II baseball. And you know, there are people that are greater than I am, but just to have my name in a conversation, to be able to go on and play after high school was an honor. And I think we have to get back to that. We have to get back to, you know, it's not about, well, what's in it for me anymore. It's about the opportunities. You know, but life is about opportunities. And we have to instill that back in our young people that, hey, look, like, the world's not going to be nice to you, so when you get the opportunities that you're given, you take them. It's no longer sitting back of, well, that's not good enough for me, what's next? You see that a lot with the early commitments and things like that. Like, be patient. I think patience is a good thing we have to teach our young people, but more importantly, just learning that, you know, it's an opportunity and it's an honor to be in the conversation. I think we need to get back to that. It is a big deal, you know, to be even thought of in a coach's mind, you know, much less than wanting to come to your house and talk to your mom and dad and have you sign your life away for the next 4 years, you know. So we got to get back to that. We got to get back to letting kids know the appreciation and the opportunities that they're given.
Ooh. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to take a kind of different path with this. As a coach for 20 years, I saw all different versions of that. We had kids that their eyes were big and, oh my God, they're talking to me. And then we had guys, yeah, whatever. I think there's one constant that I I absolutely look back and see with all the kids that were successful, because the world has changed, especially in athletics. When we were going to school, it was a 4-year scholarship. Now it's a semester by semester. I know we see all this stuff about transfer portal and NIL. Guys, that all ends the second you're not playing well anymore. They use the transfer portal to get rid of kids too, not just get kids. So the world has changed, and I think the one thing that I saw that was a consistent is when the parents were involved, the kids made better decisions. I really believe that. I believe every student athlete that I encountered that I knew the mother and father and we had real conversations about it, they made the better decisions. So I think that's something as a community that we need to better see. I'll tell you, coaching in Hillsborough County is a massive difference than coaching in Manatee County. And the reason I say that is we are more community-based, where Hillsborough County was very transient. It didn't matter if I was in the city limits of Hillsborough County or in the outskirts. It was very transient. Here, we are a community, and we have different communities within it. I grew up in Oneko. There was, Samoset. There's Citrus Meadows. There's all these communities within our Palmasolo and all these others. So those matter. I think when you talk about the history of Bradenton, it is well known. I kind of feel like a historian a little bit, especially about the football side. We had Lincoln High School in Palmetto that turned out NFL Super Bowl champions. We have Manatee High School. We have Southeast High School. I went to high school with your son, so there. So there's a big history there, and the history is going to change because the world has changed in that thing. But I still think I saw something a couple weeks ago that currently on NFL rosters there's 17 kids from Manatee County. Now IMG plays a big role in that now, but it's still part of the conversation. So our name, our Bradenton, is still out there as a football hotbed. Yes, sir.
What differences have you made in terms of safety for the kids and hitting practice on pads, no pads? What changes have been made in the evolution of looking out for the safety and concussions and those things? Because I think that I know they don't talk about it. They talk about the NFL and the concussions, but I think that a lot of the damage is done. These kids out playing Little League, bumping heads at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, 12, 13. What changes have been made for safety?
Absolutely. Safety is our number one priority. The great thing that Manatee County does better than most counties. I was a head coach in Hillsborough County for a lot of years, and not one day did I have an athletic trainer at school. Manatee County is different. We have athletic trainers. We also, this is going to sound, we get the best equipment. We don't go out there and buy the lower rated helmets. We buy the higher end. And every school does the same thing. But the bigger thing that's changed is now we pay attention to the heat bulb. We're worried about whether it's too hot for the kids. We don't want our kids to have heat stroke, which is a part of it. I don't know how many times as a kid, you run out there and no water yet. It's not a good thing anymore. But we also have better teaching techniques of tackling. That's a bigger one. But believe it or not, football is not the highest concussion rate. It's girls soccer. Why, I don't know, but that's what it is. But the other part of that is we've instilled protocols. It has. We've installed protocols where now kids have to be cleared by a doctor, then they have to sit 10 days, then they have to be able to run and perform exercises and show that they're not going to go back into concussion symptoms. So the one thing that I think is most important is we're watching what's going on rather than just going, oh, you're all right, you go back in. Yes.
Three of us played professional football. I used to play, I played the Cleveland Browns, and I also played on the team on the southeast side of the state. Anyway, my question, when I was growing up in high school, it was unity. I mean, we were a team. How do you deal with that, with the individualism? You might answer that a little bit with the NIL stuff, but how do you deal with the individualism when we see ourselves on YouTube and let's say the quarterback thinks he's all that in the bag of chips, and the same thing with the running back, wide receivers? You have more individualism to me in today's athletics and football than you did back then, because it was more of a team sport. You can, flick on the TV or look at your phone and see yourself, your highlight reel. So how do you deal with that and keeping the team concept in high school sports?
I think one of the main aspects in how you deal with that is your coaching staff. You make sure that you have a coaching staff of people who have played, and I'll take Coach Green as an example. Coach Green has always been a part of a team, whether it was in high school up in Georgia or the University of Florida or with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He was always part of a team, and it's interesting when I came on, I went back and watched some highlight tapes of him, and never once do you see the dances in the end zones. Do you see the spiking of the footballs with Coach Green? It was, he was excited. He was handing the ball to the official. He went celebrating with his teammates. And it starts with your coaching staff. It's no secret. Kids want structure. They want to be told what to do. They want to know where the line is. But and they'll model exactly what you do. I think if your coaching staff is cohesive and your coaching staff is that tight-knit bond, your kids will rally around that. But to really answer your question directly, it is hard. It is hard when kids are seeing, themselves plastered on posters now with NIL, and, you're seeing them on Coke machines and you're seeing them on commercials and things of that nature. But I was an offensive line coach for 8 years. And I used to love turning around to my running backs and saying, "Boy, you ain't getting nowhere without us." So, you got to figure it out. Where I've noticed it, and I'll speak on Manatee's half, is not at practice, is not during games, is during the school day inside the four walls of the school, and watching them be a brotherhood. They're always together. They're always doing the right things. They're getting to class on time. That in itself, when you have a unit like that, you'll weed out the individuals real quick because they don't know how to handle that. So either they try to get in with the group, or the group just tells them, you can go find another home. So that's how we've been able to address it. We have a great coaching staff that is pretty tight-knit. They do a good job of making sure our boys are together as much as they possibly can be. You want to speak on it? Or?
Well, as a coach, nothing used to drive me more nuts than Saturday morning I wake up and watch the film and there's all these highlight films made and we got beat by 36. Just that would kill me. But I think he answered it pretty well. Like it comes from the top. And I remember the best piece of advice I got when I became a head coach was, remember they're watching you. And I think behavior's modeled and you have to fall in line. I think there's also a community part of it. Southeast has gone through many changes over the years with what our community is. It used to be 14th Street all the way to end of Mayaca. Now we're a smaller community, and I think we're still finding our community, but there's still some pockets of it that remember what it was like. And I think having people wear orange and blue on campus, having people proud, and we do something very we're not allowed to say the word manatee at Southeast. It's that school over there. Small things like that, and it just creates that we're not disrespectful, but we're mindful that that's them and we're us, and we're going to be together. And I think that's the biggest challenge of being a coach now, is keeping kids together instead of the look at me and Twitter and I think it's X, but whatever. Instagram and all those things, likes and stuff. Instead of getting likes on film, get the people to like you. I think that's the art that's missing, is kids talking to each other and being together.
Stan, last question?
It's exciting to hear what you're saying, because I believe that you're instilling knowledge and wisdoms in these athletes. And what I've learned, and I'll have to say my kids went to school in New Jersey and Japan, so they weren't here in Bradenton. But what you're saying is instilled with the people that are hiring these people, and they ask, did you play athletics? And I know in a couple cases, they wouldn't even consider a candidate unless they played in athletics. Did they learn to win, to lose? Did they learn camaraderie? Did they learn to be on time? So everything that you've said, I congratulate you, and I think it's excellent. We applaud you. Thank you.
Right there, guys, I'm sorry, we have to close it out, so.
One more.
One more?
One quick.
Well, since you're Super Bowl champion, I'll.
Is the SAT, ACT a determinant factor now for kids getting into school?
It's a tough question.
I'm asking because if it is, I would suggest that you have the kids start taking the test every year. ACT, SAT, PSA, every year, so that when they get to their senior year, they're much familiar with all the material, and it definitely kicks them up higher.
Yeah, you can answer. So, number one, I'm pretty privileged to be married to a high school counselor. So I kind of know this answer. It has really become institution-based on whether or not they're deciding if they want to take those test scores anymore, whether it's the SAT or ACT. We do start encouraging them to start taking them in the 9th grade, if not by their sophomore year of high school, is what we want to see our athletes taking these tests. But there are several other tests that are out there now. I mean, you would be shocked if I told you how many tests are now out there to allow people to graduate high school and, get into post-secondary education. So to answer your question, yes, it still exists. It is just institution-based on whether or not those post-secondary institutions choose to take it. It does not hold the weight that it used to. Let me put it to you that way. But we still encourage the test to be taken. We still encourage study halls. What we've done here, because we're trying to beat that web bowl, we start practices now at 6 o'clock in the evening. So when school ends at 2:25, we have a mandatory study hall from 3 to 5 that our kids are a part of. So that's what we're doing.
All right, thanks very much, guys.
Absolutely,
Hold
thank
on,
you.
Right here, guys. All right, come over here, Coach. All right.
I keep knocking things over.
As with Kiwanis tradition, I want to hand you both our coveted golden ruler to measure your future success, and I really, really appreciate both of you guys for coming.
Thank you
Thanks
so much. Appreciate
You got
it.
Good?
Sorry.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, thanks so much for coming, guys. I appreciate all your attendance and the great speakers today. Next Tuesday, we'll host the Tampa Bay Lightning. Mike Bear will be running the meeting. So y'all have a great weekend. Enjoy your Labor Day. We'll see you back here on Tuesday.